Profit is brought to you by StopToShop.com, and they've got a handful of specials for the upcoming season of Pokemon. They've got Pokemon pack codes for the soon-to-be live Pokemon Trading Card Game Online program, and the prices for all Heart Gold, Soul Silver on single cards have been cut. In addition, click on the link in my description and get a 10% discount on your full order at checkout. If you're looking for cards, make the stop. It's Stop to Shop. Hey Pokemon fans, and welcome to today's last Pokemon Trading Card Game Card of the Day of the Week. Now today's card is finally branching out away from emerging powers, and so I've pretty much covered everything that's worth talking about in that set, and I'm going to talk about Lanturn Prime. Now Lanturn Prime has always gone back and forth over whether it's been a good card, but right now it's seeing the most hype that it has possibly ever. Now earlier in the format, a lot of people were talking about combining Lanturn Prime with Feraligatr Prime, that way you can attach a lot of water energy to it and do a lot of damage with Powerful Spark, which does 40 damage plus 10 more damage for each energy that you have in play. Unfortunately, due to Feraligatr being a stage 2 that's pretty hard to get out and doesn't really have any internal draw, it was kind of hard to get the deck going and it didn't really see any huge tournament success. However, as the metagame kept developing and new decks were formed that were played the most in tournaments, we started to realize that Lanturn Prime didn't need a bunch of energy all across the field and you didn't need to do a ton of damage with Powerful Spark. All you have to do is 70 damage and you can go a long way. And here's why. Lanturn Prime's Pokemon power, Underwater Dive, lets you change his type from lightning to water until the end of your turn. Being a water type gives you a weakness advantage over a lot of popular Pokemon in our format right now. One of them being Donphan Prime and the other being Reshiram. Now both these Pokemon are knocked out by 70 damage Powerful Spark, multiplied by 2 for the water weakness. So that in itself already makes it really strong. And also, considering the fact that Lanturn was already lightning, so it could one-shot Pokemon like Kingdra and Yanmega, and you've got a pretty versatile card that, for one rainbow or lightning energy, combined with one double colorless energy, can knock out a variety of things. Now, there are some bad things going for Lanturn. Unfortunately, despite that he's a pretty good Donphan counter, he's also weak to Donphan, so Donphan only needs one energy to knock you out. With the rise of Pokemon Catcher, that means that if you're spending the 2 turns to attach to Lanturn and build him up, all Donphan needs is a single catcher to bring up your Lanturn and knock him out before you can even effectively use him to counter. However, Lanturn still sees a lot of play, and there's a lot of different ways to work with him. One of them is just throwing him into a Stage 1's deck and using him as a way to counter the metagame. Stage 1 decks, which are full of Pokemon like Donphan and Yanmega, aren't really super energy reliant and can work with a variety of different kinds of types. So you can either fit in a Lightning or 2, or just some Rainbow energy, to work with a single 1-1 or a 2-2 line of Lanturn Prime. He's a pretty solid attacker, he counters a lot of things, and while you have these low energy Pokemon active, or zero energy Pokemon like Yanmega Prime, you can afford to spend a little bit of time attaching twice to Lanturn, and then bringing him up to use his attack. Lanturn Prime was also a major focus of 2 past World Champions that both brought the same deck into this year's World Championships. And that was Yamato and Yuta Komatsuda, the only Japanese players that represented Masters this year at the World Championships. Now, unfortunately for Japan, due to the tsunami, they weren't able to put together a World Championship qualifying event, and so the only competitor that they brought was Yuta Komatsuda, who won Worlds last year, and therefore got a free invite for this year's Worlds. The other player, Yamato, who's one of the most consistent Worlds competitors of all time, got in through the grinder, winning all of his single elimination games and qualifying in for the tournament that way. Both of them, both Yamato through the grinder and both players in the World Championships, ran a Zekrom deck with Yanmega and Lanturn. The way the deck works is that you use Zekrom as your early game attacker if you get the nice setup with Pachirisu and Shaman, and after the early game you have both Lanturn and Yanmega to get you through the late game. Lanturn knocks out all the Reshiram and Donphan, Yanmega can hold off Donphan for a little bit and takes cheap prizes, and altogether it just has a decent game. Unfortunately, both of them went 4-3 at the main event, so I don't really know if that's an accurate depiction of whether or not the deck is great or not, but it definitely is worth looking at. The Japanese players have been playing in a Heart Gold Soul Silver format for a lot longer than we have, so maybe they know a little bit more than us about a future format with Catcher. Either way, Lanturn Prime has a ton of uses, and it's a very decent card. As far as playability, I give it an 8 out of 10. Now, it does have some drawbacks, one of those being the fighting weakness, meaning that you will get knocked out by heavy Donphan decks while you're setting up on the bench, but he has a lot of uses and he's definitely an underlooked card. As far as artwork, I also give this card a 9 out of 10. I think that Lanturn Prime is one of the nicest looking primes, and I really like that orb coming off of his head is holographic. It's really cool, and I think you guys should check out Lanturn Prime while you're fiddling around with different kinds of decks for the upcoming format. Anyways, thanks for watching today's Card of the Day, and tune in tomorrow for the Fact of the Day. Peace.
You want the best tricks? I suggest you profit. You want a mess spread? I suggest you drop it. Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Profit. Yeah.